Okay, so we're here with Link himself. He got some top. Like, what'd you place? Like,
I got third.
Third. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeet. Shout out Team Yeet.
So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. Oh, he won this and then that.
This is the Fort Worth Regional. I got third. Matches were all day were kind of weird. I only played like 3 meta decks, like 2 Cliff-Forts and 1 mirror match, but I only lost to Cliff-Forts because, you know, floodgates are a thing, but yeah, that's about it. Getting into the monsters, 3 Manju, 3 Sanju. These are the best monsters in the deck, honestly. They get you to everything else. Some people are cutting the 3rd Senju, but I don't really agree with that because I just want to see most of my pieces as early as possible. Especially when you're not paying a 40 card deck, sometimes you really need the extra Senju. And it's easily sided out for you know, certain things in the side I can get to. But one Dance Princess. I like this better than the Archmage because it forces out like early emptiness and skill drains and, you know, things like that. Actually, there's a card that won me my last round because I was playing against Ritual Beast and I was playing around his steeds and I already had a unicorn on the board and he had kind of out-looped me last turn. And he had a whole bunch of advantage, so I searched this with Brio and summoned it and. I heard after the regional that he thought I was gonna misplay because he thought I thought that Steve's targeted. Because what this does is when it's on the field, you can't target Nekroz monsters or ritual monsters like with card effects or respond to their ritual cards. So he held his Steeds and then I just exited on him for like 6. So yeah, it was literally the reason why I won my last round. But 2 Shrit. It's player preference. You could do 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter too much. But,
I get to see what they are.
2 Effect Veiler. I really like these in the main. They were really good all day. The only obvious deck they weren't good against was Cliff-Forts, but I felt like I could just, you know, skillfully outplay them game 1 or just let the hands do the work in game 2. Cause, I sided hands and they were literally the best side I had all day. But and then the boss monster BLS. You get to see how I can summon him later. I didn't play the Jin in the main deck because I kind of just wanted to rely on just actually comboing instead of doing the Jin lock and hoping it is going to win me the game. But I have a couple of targets with Kaleido for this, so it was good. I'm not sure how playing it like going forward, but I'll probably try to incorporate something like Phantom of Chaos to keep it in the deck. But getting into the ritual monsters, at 3 Brio, Heart and Soul of the deck. Can't play the deck if you don't have 3. 3 Unicorn, probably the 2nd best card in the deck. It's so good, like mid to late game. Prepping for Brio, just drawing it. If you reuse anything else in the graveyard, it's just really broken. And also it's good with the Dance Princess because if you cycle Dance Princess to bring out your Unicorn, Dance Princess also has the effect that it gets a banished monster back to your hand.
Masker restrict them.
It let me reuse Shrits and Rios and Valkyries, so it was really good. This card is definitely, I can see why it's at 1 in the OCG. But,
round 2, guys.
3 Valk. You could probably get away with 2, but I just like 3 because I like drawing into it. It's a lot better to have it when your opponent doesn't know that you have it than you just searching out. But I mean, either way, it's a really good card. Then we have the one-ofs, Trish, 1 Colossus, 1 Gungnir, and 1 Decisive Armor. I wouldn't cut any of these cards. I like Colossus at 1 because basically once you see 1 spell, you see all of them. So it's not really needed for you to have more than 1. So I never missed the 2nd one. And yeah, so the ritual spells. I played 3 mirror, or 2 mirror, and 2 cycle, and 2 Kaleido. This is the best ratio. I don't think you should be playing anything else. Like I said, once you see one, you basically see all of them. I would say this one is the best, but sometimes it gets cloggy because if you open it early game and you don't have an actual combo, these are actually probably a little bit better for their secondary effect anyway. But I cited the one out a lot, but being in hindsight, I probably would have just kept it in because there was a couple game 2s and game 3s that I cited out that I actually needed it, but I had to extend the game longer, or if I would have had it, I probably would have just won faster. Then for gen outs, I mean, 2 Book of Eclipse and 1 Book of Moon. I used to play Dark Hole, but it kind of was, I mean, it was good. I just needed actual space, so I cut a couple cards before the regional, and I never really missed them. These kind of do the same thing, because if you get like gen locked, or you just get like a big monster that actually hurts you, like a Dark Law or Cleese, like it just really deals with that problem better than some other cards. And it also has synergy with your deck because you can reflip your Manjus and your Senjus to get extra searches and stuff. And then I played only 2 space in the main because I figured I was going to play a whole bunch of mirror match all day, but that didn't really happen. So I never really missed the 3rd one. I mean, obviously maybe just against Cleese, but everything else I didn't really miss it. Most of the time, Trishula just got rid of the extra back rows.
The only question, with Floodgates, you said being such a problem for Clifforts, what would you MST? Would you honestly MST the Scout, or would you save it for the Floodgates?
No, I would definitely say these for the Floodgates. In game 2 and game 3, it's a little bit easier because you can look at your hand and see if you have like an extra like Twister or like an Ice Hand. But game 1, I would usually just try to hold these for like emptiness or skill drain, depending on how good my hand is, if I can play through either of them. But yeah, I really wouldn't want to deal with the Scout because it's actually just helping me in the, when you look at it in the long game. But, the one Raigeki, it's broken. I don't know any deck that doesn't play this. 2 Shared Ride in the main deck. Like I said, I thought I was gonna play a lot of mirror. So when I did play the mirror, this was really broken. But I mean, when I played everything else, it was kind of just for 1-for-1. I actually did get a +1 off on the Clipboard player once because Raigeki'd his field and he had 2 sacrifices on the field. So I mean, that was pretty good. But other than that, it was just okay against everything else. Then the best card needs to go to 1. It's Prep.
Please.
This card is busted. You know what this card does? Look it up. It really, but it gets you to literally anything else you need in the deck. And if you already, went through a spell, then you get that additional +1 from the graveyard, and it's really dumb. This is probably the best top deck in the whole entire deck. That was my main board. It was 42. To go to the extra deck. Got my tokens, my BLS token, my JDs. Then play 2 Herald. You don't need any more. Just probably one of the better synchros that or the ones that are just required, because when you Kaleido, you get the search. But did a Star Eater for the random level. Majestic Red Dragon because it's a dark and it's a level 10. It actually came up in one of my matches. I needed to make a Brio and Unicorn, and then it set up a BLS. So that's literally the reason why it's there. And then 12 is a 5-headed dragon, just like I said, because I played BLS. It's really good because most of the time when you go for the play that you actually use this, you're going for the evolvable chain play where you stack a card and then you draw it without. So usually when you make this play using this card, you're adding BLS to your hand anyway. So it was never really dead. Berserk, one of the better cards in the mirror match. Is really broken. Cowboy, I think you really need this card because there's a lot of the weird OTKs that you need for that extra 800 damage. Dweller. Thought about playing 2 of these, but it wasn't that bad. It didn't come up that much in the day. I mean, but you have to at least play 1. These are probably the most important cards in the deck, these 4 in the extra deck, besides the Herald, because of all the little plays that you do. These with Valk, you can either stack any card, essentially searching it, or do this and put back all your resources like Unicorns and Brios, and it's a real good late game, like especially in the mirror match. And then you could end up drawing 3 when you do this with Valk. And then this card, because they just blow out. They get rid of all your problems like before your opponent decides to play them. Like let's say they hold some of their cards, they're just trying to play around a certain card. You can exit on them, and then the Diamond Dyer, just to get rid of any back row before you make your big pushes, because you can Diamond Dyer off something, and then search a mirror, and then like trish their monster that you left on field. It is really good. And then Castel 101. These cards are almost the same, but they each have their uses. This one's actually a little bit better in this deck, I think, because when you go mirror match, and because I play Emptiness, you have to have 2 outs for this card if you have Emptiness, because you have Book. It's going to save itself. If you have Raigeki, it can just detach. So you have to have a combination of either Book, Raigeki, Dark Hole. You have to have at least 2 to get over this card, or the space for the vanities. So that, and then just Ragnar Zero for Clifford's. I never made this. Well, actually I made it 1 time, but it got bounced, so I didn't really like it that much. I don't know. I'm considering cutting this for something, but the side deck. Play 2 Denko. This is probably one of the better cards all day. I love Denko. She's busted. Against the hero player I played, there's a whole bunch of players that I dropped the Denko and they just kind of like cried a little bit inside. But I love this card. I wouldn't cut it or play anything else. I sided the Jin. I didn't main it, but sided it just for the mirror match or against Ritual Beast or somewhere where actually I could use it without having it hindering me in the main board. 2 Kaiku. This is probably one of the better card in the mirror match, because you could search this with Valk and like with the Volva Chain Valk play, or you can just draw it and then make your big push and then summon this at the end and attack, swing through their Valk because they can't Valk. You can banish their mirrors with it. It's really broken. And there's also a Darks for BLS, so it's another reason why I play this card. I played 5 hands, 2 fire and 3 ice. These are probably the best cards in like my entire deck. The main deck, side deck, like these are the cards that I put in the most work all day long. Against Clifford's, which is my worst matchup, obviously. You just summon a hand, you swing, you just nuke their whole board almost, depending on what they have, and they get scared after seeing 1 hand, so they start playing cautiously. Then you can use your spaces and your twisters and stuff for other stuff that actually matter. When you can get rid of Scout and other stuff with this. But yeah, it was just the best cards that I played all day. And then 2 Twister, and then the 3rd space. These were just obvious. 2 Twister, 3rd space. You need it for Floodgates. And then 2 Vanities were my last 2 cards. I played for the mirror match, and then just didn't think Vanities was good against. Yeah, that was basically it. 4,000.
So, I had a question back in the main deck. Why did you opt not to play Snatch Steal? Like, and in the side?
I just don't think Snatch Steal is that good in this deck. I mean, it's a really good card, like standalone, but whenever you're comboing, it's not that great. It's just a card you can go without. It's not that good, or it's not like an end-all be-all card like Raigeki. I feel like Raigeki is just main deck in any deck, but Snatch Steal is probably just good in certain decks like Clifford can main it and stuff like that. It just doesn't give me too much like utility. It can keep me from getting mirror searches, like giving me a monster that can't get off my field. There's just a couple of reasons why.
And you said you played like 3 meta and like a bunch of rogue, right?
Yeah. Well, I played like Rogue, like in the early rounds.
Yeah.
But once I got later in the rounds, I played. They were like mad like tier 1, like they were Ritual Beast and I think I played 2 Ritual Beasts and some other stuff. Yosinju's was my like round 7 or round 7. And so like lost to Clifford. Yeah, I didn't see these cards. I didn't see. But other than that, I felt like the deck was real strong. I wouldn't change too much about it. Maybe.
What would you change? Like, or what have you changed since the?
Since then, I moved a Veiler out of the main. It's good to draw, but you could, like I said, you could search any monster without and Volatile Chain, so you can get it. I put the Gen back in the main, but I don't really like it in the main. I'm considering some like dark targets so I can make BLS more live without having to go into Kaleido. So that's the only changes I would make.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
No.
Shout out Team Yeet.
Team Yeet.
Team Lawson.